Welcome to the Conquer Your Mountains Week 23 podcast titled Mid-Year Crisis. This one trick can transform your year.
If you are following the Conquer Your Mountains reading plan, you are in week 23. That is the name, Song of Songs, Direct My Passions.
My name is Witt, and I am the senior editor at Luca, the faith and inspiration imprint of Penguin Random House South Africa.
And I am Mandla Moyo, the author of an inspirational book called Conquer Your Mountains, as well as a science fiction book called The Fallen Angel.
Welcome, Mandla. The title of our episode is Mid-Year Crisis. This one trick can transform your year. I've heard of a midlife crisis, but what is a mid-year crisis?
Yeah, so I was just thinking that we're almost at the middle of the year, and it is the middle of the year if we leave out December, because December, that's normally the month when we wrap up and start thinking of how we will do end of year functions and holidays and travel. So we are at the middle of the year. That seems quite long, and in South Africa, a lot has happened just since January, and even globally, so much has happened. And it's that time of the year that people are feeling like there's so many projects that they've been working on. On our side, we've also been working on the two books, Conquer Your Mountains and The Fallen Angel. And it's often tempting to have a mid-year slump.
So, reading from your page 79 of Conquer Your Mountains, do you have a clue about what we can do about that?
Yeah, so page 79 says, love is probably the most powerful emotion you can experience, and the opposite of love even more so. Whenever I have succeeded in something, whether in my family, studies, exercise, or work, it has been a result of adding the passion ingredient.
So the clue is love or passion.
It's passion, actually. I think in my experience, passion is such a powerful force that can transform our lives. They've often done studies in people where if you take away the emotional part of the brain, you can't really function. So there's such a massive role that the passion that we have for what we do can help us to achieve what we need to achieve. So passion is that one ingredient that if you embrace it, if you nurture it, if you unlock it on your ambitions and your projects, it will actually propel you a bit further than you would if you didn't have passion. And you see that with, even if you think of the work environment, the people that have a passion for their work, or even with exercise, the people that are passionate about exercise will go a lot longer. I remember the New Year's resolutions that we set at the beginning of the year. You'd probably find that many people have fallen off, and I know there's no mid-year resolutions. Many people have fallen off, and the ones that are still pushing ahead will be the ones that have passion for transforming their lives.
Okay, so passion is definitely a driving force behind the way we do things and why we do things. So if you lose your passion, how do you regain it again in the middle of the year?
It's a process, so it's not something that you can switch on and off. It involves understanding what truly excites you.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So think back to when you're setting your resolutions for the year at the beginning of the year. You drop a list not based on the things that you're crazy about, but your list was more around what you felt you needed to have on your resolution list. So most people, for example, will have a resolution that says, I want to start going to gym this year, or I was in the writing industry, I want to write this particular book. But now is the time to reflect on what is something that you can really be passionate about. So maybe if your resolution was, I want to start going to gym, and you couldn't achieve it, perhaps you might be passionate about skipping every day. Maybe that will draw you out more. It will achieve the same objective, but maybe from an angle that you might enjoy better.
So our success in, determining our success in something would then be directly related to our passion towards it and what we feel about it. So thinking that, do you think passion is linked to purpose?
Yes, purpose for me is what will give you direction and motivation. If I had to, maybe create a formula, I'd say it's a dose of passion and a dose of purpose, and that would equal success. Before you have passion, you need to have the purpose, because you can't have passion if you don't know what you're doing and why you're doing it. So you need to answer the why question. And then the passion comes from that deep-seated longing to actually achieve something. So I did mention love earlier. Love is a powerful emotion. And when someone is in love, they'll do anything to achieve something for the object of their love. And it's the same with passion. When you direct passion to something, whether in our case it's pushing out our books, we'll do anything to really get those books out. And that applies to most other industries.
Absolutely. I remember also once reading a quote that said, if a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. So if we don't have purpose and direction behind where we're going, and that, I think that probably includes then the passion part, like you say, that's very important. So if you have a mid-year setback, what do you do then?
I don't think it's if you'll have a mid-year setback. I think it's more like when you'll have a mid-year setback, because no plan is ever foolproof. And if you haven't had a mid-year setback, maybe your plan wasn't ambitious enough. Because if your plan is to do something that you're already doing and you're not stretching yourself, you'll always succeed.
That's an
If you don't
interesting
achieve, that's a very low goal. But if you have had a mid-year setback, first of all, well done, because it means you had a stretch goal.
That's a good approach to it. Well done for a mid-year setback. So you're on purpose actually and on track.
You are on track to success via a few unexpected detours. So those detours are part of the journey. And when that happens, you need to retreat to your core. What is your core purpose for what you're doing? And if your purpose is the same, maybe you just need to redirect your passion to another thing that could still achieve that purpose, but perhaps from another angle. And once you know what that is, you need to define the tasks that will get you there. And because you had a mid-year setback, in fact, you are better informed, because when you made that resolution at the beginning of the year, you didn't realize how difficult this journey would be. But now that you know, you can be more focused in terms of finding a way to achieve it that better suits who you are. And you should hopefully be more focused in understanding who needs to inspire you if you need to get external inspiration, and practice and training you need to become more perfect.
So it's also a mid-year setback. Could also be a good opportunity to reflect on the first part of the year and how you need to adjust your approaches to things and your goals to achieve them still at the end of the year. So it's almost like a little bit of a reset and an evaluation, would you say?
Yes, it is a reset. I think reset is the right word. And reset doesn't mean that you are throwing things away. So if you think of it as a puzzle,
Yes.
As the pieces in a puzzle, you're not throwing away the pieces. Perhaps you're just realizing that those pieces should be better arranged in this way and not that first way that I thought would be the right way.
I like that analogy of the puzzle, because you're still building the same thing, but you just maybe went and sat on the other side of the table to look at it from a different way and get a new perspective. So can you describe a day in your life where you needed to dig into your passion?
Yeah, often when I need to dig into my passion, it's the days when the list of things that I need to do seems far too big. So, for example, when I've been selling a product in the market and you find that it's not selling, or that I found is not selling as quickly as I thought, often the statistics will tell my mind to stop, because if you look at the writing on the wall, you're not going far.
Yeah.
But if you really tap into your passion, you're like, hang on, what was my reason for pushing this product out? And is that reason still true? If
Oh,
the
that's
reason
a
is
good,
still true, then I need to
yes,
push on.
absolutely. I like that. Going back to the roots and the cause of your passion to reignite that, that's a great way of thinking. So then you move forward by going back into your passion. And how do you have any practical examples of how you've done this?
The examples for me have been around exploring diverse interests. So, for example, if I think back to my example where I'm trying to push something into the market,
Yes.
it's around exploring if I thought I could approach it from angle A and it's not working. So maybe in this case, I thought it would need a better social media campaign, but that social media campaign isn't working.
Okay.
What is another way that I can get it into the market that is still aligned to who I am, to my core purpose
The passion. Yeah.
and the passion, and perhaps finding more people to talk to that I think would be aligned to what my product provides. That could be one way of reigniting the passion, because you need some people that will say yes, and that will propel you. It's like if you watch a rugby match and that match is not in front of a crowd, it will actually be quite boring. I mean, the teams won't go
Oh,
all the way. They won't give their all. But once you add some supporters, there's a lot more magic
I like
to
that. Yes.
that. So I think my example would be to find a number of people. It doesn't have to be a stadium full, but some people that can cheer me on and maybe give me some early yeses.
That's a valuable lesson.
Yeah, because you can't go through life just collecting no's. No's are a part of life. But if you're only getting no's, your passion is going to be extinguished quite quickly.
I think the secret then would be to make sure your passion stays like passion, if that's a way to put it, that you stay in tune with it and you stay connected to it in order to reach your end goal. Because the passion was the beginning and then you have the end goal. So it's just about keeping that alive in between. I like that. With everything you have shared, what do you think is the ultimate passion boosting technique to spark your fire and to boost your passion for the things you do?
So I've got two things that have worked for me. The one is to create a passion project. So in other words, knowing what my passion is. So if my passion is in the creative space in terms of writing, what is a small project that I can use to test my passion and see how it resonates with others and get some drive and get some credibility whilst I'm doing it. And that project could vary depending on your interest. So it could be that you go and volunteer somewhere that's aligned to your passion, because that's where you flex that muscle of the thing that is true to your purpose. If you're in business, it could be a particular service or a product that you know that you'll have so much energy and time for just because you believe fully in it. So that's one way of getting that boost. The other way is what I call a pre-flight check-in. So when you on a plane and before you take off, the pilots do a pre-flight check just to be double sure that the plane is going to fly as intended.
Okay.
And that's what you can do on a daily basis. So before you jump into that day, have that pre-flight check-in as you sit at your desk. If you are sitting at a desk, why am I here? What do I visualize achieving in this particular day or in this particular project? How can I be more present in the journey instead of just drifting along? What are the moments that I can appreciate as I traverse this path? And also, what are some positive self-affirmations that I might need later in the day? So just as an example, when I first started doing endurance races, I spoke to a lady that had done Ironman. I've never done anything like that. But anyway, she said to me, write your affirmations in advance that you will read later on, because you will need them. So when you get to 6 hours in the race and you're about to give up, have something that you wrote in advance that you'll look at that will remind you of why you started this particular grueling race and why you're passionate about it, even though you're now cramping and can hardly move.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'd
good.
say those are the two techniques that one can try: creating passion projects and doing a pre-flight check-in.
And finally, if you could leave our listeners with one piece of wisdom on how to boost their mid-year journey, what would that be?
I'd say keep moving. The road seems long, but all you can do is to keep moving. The passion, sometimes you need passion to keep moving, and sometimes you just need to keep moving, and the passion comes as your persistence pays.
I like that. Thank you so much, Dr. Mandla.
Thank you, Amanda. Yes, it's been great chatting to you today.